So I've just started sanding all of this framing timber. I'll be getting onto the plywood as well shortly. In all seriousness, we've had storms here for the last 5.5 days. I'm comfortable, I'm dry, I'm warm, and I have beer. So it's back to the sanding table with all of this timber that got water damaged. Getting there. So you can see there's the difference. So I've just started sanding all of this framing timber for the berth. I'll be getting onto the plywood as well shortly, and then the painting will begin. It's a bit of a system with all the timber work, as all painting should be. So I've chosen a product called Boat Coat and Aqua Coat, and that's made by a company here in Australia. I'll show the product a bit later, but I will be sanding all the timber work today and hopefully putting on the first coat today, and then it will need another coat of the initial product and then a top coat. So that'll be over probably 2, maybe 3 days. So this work, like I mentioned previously, the timber work is just wonderful. I love it. I love it. Just show you what I'm doing here. I obviously made an error and cut that lap joint a bit too wide, so put a little filler piece in there. Now I'm just sanding that. To glue that on later. So here I have that little splintered bit that came off when I was sanding. It's just this piece is broken off the end of here. So I'm just going to glue that up with some wood liquid here. So this sheet here will be completely painted. You're not going to see any of this later. It'll have a white pigment colour over it, so you won't see any of this later. Just lifting and lowering that to feed that glue down. I just happen to have a lead ingot here left over from the keel pour, so that is heavy. Should only need about an hour for that glue to do its job and go hard. Well, onto damage control right now. My goodness, we just had a severe storm come through. The gazebo here has collapsed. The roof is torn. Water's come in. I must admit, fortunately not everything was completely doused and wet. I'm actually so pleased I didn't paint today, because this would have been, all this timber would have been sitting here painted, and if water gets on the epoxy it makes it go milky. That would have been terrible, because I would have had to have wait until it dries, hardens, and then sand it all back. Oh my goodness. So I'll just do a bit of a panoramic. A lot of things are wet. There's a big tear in the roof. I'm trying to get that. It's hard. This upright pole obviously pushed through the tarp there. It's got a big tear there which was full of water. That's why it tore, the weight of the water. All of the bars are just bent, completely out of shape. I'm holding it up with that one timber. A mate next door has loaned me a tarp, which has been very, very good of him. So yeah, fortunately now I've got a tarp on top. That whole thing's wrecked. So the plan ahead will be tonight order another one of these whole gazebos, just get a new one, and he's hoping that that tarp on top keeps the rain out until the other one arrives, because they're forecasting a whole week of rain. Wouldn't you know it? Over and out. It's raining cats and dogs, as the expression goes, but in all seriousness, we've had storms here for the last 5.5 days. I got hit pretty bad here. There's some video of that, about the woodshed down and damage done. In addition to that, it's just been inundation with rain. I'm comfortable, I'm dry, I'm warm, and I have beer. As you can see, some survival liquids here. So everybody, the sun has come out. My goodness, after 9.5 days of heavy rains here, we've actually now had a break, and as you can see, I have the new wood quote shed up, unquote. So after nearly 10 days of near constant rain later, and having received my new and heavier duty gazebo marquee, I was getting things back to a workable state again. But I also decided on improving things too, given the distinctly out of season heavy rains here on the Sunshine Coast over recent years. This included putting down some more concrete in the woodshed to keep things, including my feet, dry. It's touted as being a heavy duty one than the one I had. Certainly putting it up, I think it's better. It's actually slightly bigger too, which is helpful. We can do a walk around now. As you can see, I have the mixer here. With all that rain, my goodness, it just got flooded inside. So the job this morning is to pour some more concrete, which I have here under wrap. Things are still sodden under feet. I've got things set up pretty much as I had them before, but as I say, there's a little more room, which is nice. Where the other one failed was, I believe, with the front, with that weather front that came through, high winds and heavy rain at once just crushed this. And as you can see, I've got props under here. I cut these props with the old one just to keep it standing until this new one arrived. So what I'm going to do is, wherever I can, I'm going to leave those props in place, certainly when I go away, but even when I'm here, and if the space is not needed, then I'll leave them there. As you can see, there's the concrete that's down, and I'm going to lay more between the fridge and that concrete that's laid down here this morning. That will just give me a drier area. This corner down here, where the water was running over the edges, which you can still see that part of the concrete. There's a line there where it's dry, but water was just running down there, overflowing. I'll also have a little lip edge here because this is the high point. Hopefully the water running off the top of the marquee here will be able to be channeled outside of the fence under there. I'm not using any steel. People asked about that in this concrete slab. The reason, and that was deliberate, that I didn't put any steel in it was because it's going to have a short life. I believe no more than a year. So there you go. Concrete time. Well, this has worked out alright. I think that's going to make a big difference. Definitely an improvement. Okay, so here's a bit of a moment of truth. I've got my new little moisture meter here. Just bought that this morning so that I can find out the moisture content of all of my timber. Obviously, with all that wet weather that we've had, it actually has made a big impact on the work progress. So what I need to do before painting any of this timber is find out what the moisture content is. So I've loaded the batteries, I've read the instructions. The settings are set to tree, top left corner there's a picture of a tree. The density of this timber is around about 530 apparently, so it's either 5 or 540. I think I'll go for 540. The sensor itself is on the back, and that automatically is reading 16.7. I called and spoke with the epoxy paint suppliers. They said to me that the ideal is around 12. However, up to 18 was fine to paint with their product. So that was good news. I was able to continue to plan on the painting. So it's back to the sanding table with all of this timber that got water damaged. I'll just have to sand it off as best I can, and maybe some of the stain will be removed, but if not, none of this will be seen, thankfully. That's the wood being stained by water, so that's water stain. So that's all water damage. And when I say damage, I mean the wood is not damaged, it's just that it's stained. There's some that I've sanded and they're actually coming up alright. It's definitely improved it. Getting there. So you can see there's the difference. The other one looked like this. So it is working. Bit of elbow grease. And that's that. Join me next week where, after yet another downs and ups episode, I am back on the progress tracks and finally I start epoxy painting some timber. Oh yeah.